Θα περάσουμε στον κύριο Ρίτσαρντ Πράις που θα μας μιλήσει για την καμπάνια, την εκστρατεία που σχετίζεται με το μανιφέστο, όσα μας έχουν οδηγήσει ως εκεί και ποια είναι τα σημεία κλειδιά της πρωτοβουλίας. Κύριε Πράις, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, Kalamata, everybody. It's an enormous pleasure to be here in Athens today with you and in partnership with ELOC. We're here as part of our Time to Accelerate Together Against Cancer in Europe, national tour of capitals. And if I could just briefly explain what is the Time to Accelerate campaign. Well, it's about providing a consensus vision across Europe to national decision makers, to those in Brussels, to those indeed as well at the WHO, about what the cancer community feel and believe strongly are the priorities in many of the different policy areas that Norbert was touching upon in the Pulse report. And at ECO, that's very much what we're focused on doing, turning the data about cancer policy into action. And our manifesto is our campaign this year to see that achieved. Over 40 different organizations from across Europe and from across the different facets of the cancer stakeholder community took part directly in helping to write this, so it's a really important co-creation. And we have over 100 endorsements so far, but as you'll see later, we're very keen, if you support the messages in this manifesto, that you might add your name, your organization as well to that list. And importantly, as we look into European Parliament elections, Andreas mentioned how important it was, the 2019 election, politicians making a promise that there would be a beating cancer plan, and they delivered that promise. This time, they are running for election again, and we want them to stand for the recommendations that we contain in this manifesto, and then we can hold them to account and see those delivered. So they're running to be your representatives, and we hope that you can engage in the campaign. And I wanted to just give a little soupçon, as they would say in France, or a very brief flavor of some of the recommendations that you can find inside. And so I've picked out a few of the chapter headings to look at. Cancer prevention is always probably where we should start when we launch any holistic discussion about cancer policy. It's the most cost-effective policy that we can take. And in our manifesto, we're calling for a minimum age of tobacco sales of 21 across Europe. This is taking place in other parts of the world. This is in the United States and elsewhere. We think it's time that Europe picked up on this trend as well. We need to protect citizens from secondhand smoke in places like playgrounds and restaurants, and regulation is needed to bring that about. And we need to help consumers make healthier choices. And for too long, there has been discussion about front-of-pack nutrition labeling, health warnings on alcohol beverages as well, but no action. So let's hold our politicians to account and make sure that that takes place in the next European Commission period. And we have a lot of outdoor workers all over Europe exposed to sun. We want employers to take greater responsibility for their protection through occupational carcinogen legislation. In another area, early detection, and of course we were looking as well at the different rates of screening across Europe. We were also looking at the current goal to get up towards 90% of patients being offered access to the screening programs recommended by Europe. The Beating Cancer Plan also created a very important foundation, brand new EU-level recommendations on screening. So not only breast, cervical, and colorectal, but lung, gastric, and prostate also suggested to countries. And we think there's a lot more that might be done to help bring those recommendations to life. Funding national implementation projects, screening research projects to help with hard-to-reach groups, for example, and looking into the prospects for screening for other cancers, such as skin and liver cancer. But early detection of cancer is much more than screening as well. We see potential in the future of multi-cancer early detection, and we hope that the EU could support that. And we need to do more as well to help citizens be aware of potential early signs of cancer. And that's why we suggest an EU atlas of early warning signs. And the last chapter that I just want to focus in on, if I was forced to be critical in any way about the Beating Cancer Plan or the European Commission, I think the point of criticism I might have is that it has been rather slow to respond to the long-standing problem of health and oncology workforce shortage. And this is leading to real issues all over Europe. Detection and treatment being delayed because of shortages of pathologists, innovation not able to be uptaken as quickly as it could because of shortage. And we also see, for example, in overworked hospitals, overworked cancer centres, the risk of medical error, often with tragic circumstance, is increased as well. So we think it's time for an action plan from the EU on this. It's a shared problem. All countries have it. We have people moving across borders for better pay as well. We need to look at the ethical recruitment practices in Europe too. And we think, have we really learned all the lessons from COVID? We have addressed issues about medicine shortages. We have addressed issues about product shortages, but it seems we haven't learned the lesson about the workforce shortage problem. So we think there's a lot that the European Union could do to help all countries on this, and it's about time that they did so. So just to move to conclusion, if I was to summarize the whole manifesto in 3 brief points, let's see the Beating Cancer Plan through to completion. There were very, very important goals on HPV cancer elimination, tobacco-free generation. Those will need continued emphasis and energy. But let's refresh the plan. Things are changing, both science and practice, and there are gaps that could be addressed as well. And that goal-oriented approach, where we commit as 27 countries to a single goal, it unites everybody, it brings accountability, and it sees things happen, as we've seen in this country with HPV now offered as to both boys and girls. It creates an energy that would not otherwise be there. So how can you help? And what would we like to ask you to do? Well, these are 3 things that I hope are simple, can be done on your smartphone as you're sitting in the conference today. Number 1, endorse the campaign. Put your name to it and say, I'm supporting these messages. You can do that as an individual, you can do it as an organization, you can be added to our list, but it also means that we can be in touch with you at various points of the political campaign in the year ahead for your help. Number 2, share it with your networks. I think our manifesto has tried to pick up as many issues as possible, and whatever part of the cancer community you're in, I think you'll find things in there that are relevant and will make a difference for the people you represent. And thirdly, when the candidates are running for your vote, when the candidates are in your town or seeking your endorsement, make sure that they're aware of this manifesto, make sure that they are putting their name to it, so that when they're elected, from day one, they can be part of the cancer-supporting politicians of Europe. So I invite your help in all of that, and I hope we can be in touch over the months ahead as we try to make this year another pivotal year as 2019 was for EU cancer policy. So thank you, ELOC, thank you, George, and thank you, Athens and Greece. It's time to accelerate.